Hello, and welcome to another video in SIMC's Investments and Wine series. As usual, we're going to talk about investing topics as well as one of my favorite subjects, wine. Today, I'd like to talk a little bit about budgets, why they're so important, and at the same time, dovetail that into discussing how a budget for your wine cellar can work as well. Number one, talking about a budget, you've got to have a budget if you have a financial plan. It's very important that the plan is almost a theoretical construct that we want to compare against your actual spending pattern, and that's going to be determined by a budget. Budget's very important. Second aspect about budgeting that I see quite often with clients is that they don't adequately plan for one-off expenses. This really shows up around homeowner expenses. Homeownership involves more than just your mortgage and your taxes and your insurance. You've got a lot of maintenance. Many people will say, hey, that bill from last year for the new roof, that's a one-off expense. Oh, and this year we had another one-off expense, which was to replace 3 windows on the back of the home. If this is happening year after year, you've actually got an expense that you need to be budgeting for. And a proper budget will encapsulate this aspect of homeownership. Some experts say that you should plan on 1 to 3% of your purchase price in expenses every year. That's a high number that many people forget to include. Final aspect about budgets is, as I mentioned earlier, you can see that year after year after year, you need to compare that budget against your forecast and see how it's actually working against reality. It is not a set it and forget it kind of thing. You want to work with it year after year to see how it is going. You don't make panic moves in one particular year, but you want to make sure over time you are capturing the large budgetary effects of your life. But one thing you can't set and forget is your wine cellar. And that's a beautiful thing. A few years ago, a friend of mine gave me this concept about how to plan for a 5 or 10-year wine cellar, simply by thinking about the number of wines that you consume in a week, or good bottles of wine that you consume in a week. And that would, for me, equate to a bottle of wine that's between $30 and $50. And I like to have at least one of those per week with my wife when we relax on the weekend. And as a consequence, you've got to have about 52 bottles. So rounding to case numbers, you're talking about 48 bottles of wine. And you can simply put wine away for 5 or 10 years in a box, put the year you should open the wine on, clearly written on the outside of the box, take it to your wine storage unit and drop it off. True, this takes a little bit of time to get set up, but eventually you get to the steady state situation where each year you purchase 48 new bottles of wine, put them into boxes, take them down to your storage unit in January, retrieve 4 boxes that were put there 5 or 10 years ago with this particular date on it, and replace them with the new bottles. So every year you get this surprise. And if you haven't written down what you put in the boxes, you'll be surprised after 5 years. You'll forget what you put in there, and you open it up and you have this fantastic surprise. That is something that you can set and forget. It's wine in your wine cellar. Hey, thank you very much for sticking around for this video. Once again, I'm Kent Fisher, the founder of the Southern Investment Management Collective. Look forward to seeing you next time. And until then, good investing and good wine.